Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The Design Review Board public meeting of February 13th, 2020 is called to order. Please refrain from talking among yourselves during the meeting, and please turn off or put on vibrate all cell phones at this time. If you need to talk, please leave the meeting room. Anyone who wishes to speak, including applicants on any of the applications to be reviewed tonight, are asked to completely fill out one of the speaker cards provided at the table by the front door and submit it to staff. You will be asked to speak by the board when your case is called. Anyone who wishes to be re-noticed about a project in the event of a return for redesign decision by the board must completely fill out one of the postcards provided at the table by the front door and submit it to staff to receive notice of subsequent hearings. Current DRB agendas are available by visiting our website at www.glendaleca.gov. A handout describing the procedures of the meeting, possible board decisions, and DRB appeal is available from staff. This will be roll call. Board Member Arzumanian.
Present.
Board Member Biogen.
Present.
Board Member Benlian.
Present.
Board Member Simonian. Board Member Welch.
Present.
The agenda for this meeting was posted on the bulletin board outside City Hall at or before 5 p.m. on February 6, 2020. I'm not aware of any oral communications we have at this time. Okay, in terms of the staff announcements, since our chairman is out today, the board should nominate and elect a pro tem for tonight's meeting. If we get a nomination and...
Nomination? I'll nominate Mr. Bentley.
Second.
I
I haven't been awake for too long. Okay. Thank you.
and we can, I think we're good with the name tags. Mr. Pro Tem Chairman?
We'll go ahead and start with the first case. And that's PDR number 1923858, address 1226 Idlewood Road. And we'll take it to Eileen and for staff presentation.
Sure. Good evening, Design Review Board members. The case before you is a design review case number PDR 1923858 for a property located at 1226 Idlewood Road. The proposal is for an approximately 750 square foot one-story addition to the front, side, and rear of an existing one-story 1,200 square foot single-family residence with a new detached two-car garage on a 6,600 square foot lot located in the R1 zone floor area ratio district 1. Since approximately 80% of the existing roof and walls of the existing house will be removed, the project is considered a new construction and must comply with the current zoning code. The addition includes an approximately 332 addition at the front of the house and 418 square foot addition at the side and rear of the existing house. The existing house, which was built in 1937, is not considered a historic resource under SICO and doesn't appear to be eligible for listing in the Glendale Register of Historic Resources. In terms of the site planning of this project, the site planning will not be significantly altered, and the proposal is appropriate to the site and its surroundings. The existing interior setbacks and street front setback and also location of the driveway will not be changed. The location of the proposed two-car garage is appropriate to the site and neighborhood. The proposal calls for new drought-tolerant plants and trees, which complement the overall design. Staff is recommending a condition for replacing the proposed gravel shown on the landscape plan along the south property line with landscape material to comply with the zoning requirement. Also, the perimeter walls are a combination of block walls and new white vinyl fence. Staff also recommending a consideration to replace the proposed vinyl fence with CMU wall to keep the consistency. In terms of the mass and scale of this project, the proposed hipped roof, building mass, proportions are consistent with the existing volume of the house and surrounding neighborhood. Staff also recommends a condition of approval to increase the width of the single column and base at the front porch to create a more appropriate proportion to the proposed design. In terms of the design and details, staff believes that the proposed architectural details and materials, including stucco finish, stone veneer, primary door, entry door, metal gates, boxed eave, windows, which are a combination of sliding and fixed vinyl windows with wood trim and seal to match the existing windows, and also decorative paving for the driveway are appropriate and reinforce the proposed architectural style. The project doesn't result in any privacy issue since no second floor addition is proposed. Also, no locations are identified on the proposed plan for trash storage and air conditioning unit. Staff is recommending a condition of approval to show the location of trash storage and air conditioning unit. Staff recommending approval of this design review case with 3 conditions and 1 consideration. For the record, staff received a public comment in objection to this proposed development, which I believe was distributed to you for your consideration. This concludes my presentation, and we're available for your questions.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? No questions for staff? We'll go ahead and open the public meeting. I don't have any cards from the speaker. Who's? Thank you. So we can start with you, Arman.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for your time being here. And again, the house is a single-family house, and the addition itself is only 750 square feet, but 330 square feet portion in the front, and the rest is in the rear. We're demoing the existing garage, building a new one, and pretty much the design is.
Is his mic on? They can't hear him in the mic. Can you speak to the mic?
Okay, it's good? Okay. So the design is a typical traditional style, and the proposed one, we are not changing the design. Is the existing is the same. And the reason we went to the design review board is the demolition of the 50%, more than 50%. But the rest is pretty much the same, and typical to the neighborhood is the. So, and one of the things that took us to the design review board is changing the roof. We are demoing the existing roof and building a new roof. And the height of the roof is 18 feet, not 40.
So the entire roof
The
is
entire
being
roof, yeah. The existing roof
demolished?
the structure is very bad, like a Mickey Mouse roof. So we want to demo the existing one, then build a new one.
Understood. And that probably what took you over
Yeah,
the 15,
that's-
the
yeah,
50%.
that's-
Okay.
I think that's it.
Anything else? Any questions for the applicants?
I had one question. Why did you choose to move the existing garage location to the side?
To the side, because of the backup, I guess. For the backup and the location to have the more room to the kitchen, to the light. And the main thing is the backup.
Okay.
Understood. Any other questions for the applicant? Thank you so much.
Very much.
Anybody else?
And thank you, Eileen.
Anybody else that want to speak on this project? Because I don't have any other cards. Nobody else. So we'll go ahead and close the public comments and open up the deliberation. And
Can I ask a question
Sure.
or just for the consideration that it's for this fence?
is this a question for staff?
I think so.
Okay.
Facing the south, the neighbor. I don't see it. I don't see the fence. Are we
It
able
has
to
been
see it?
labeled on the site plan.
Look at sheet A 2.0.
On the foundation. 6 page, if you open 6 page.
But-
So there are
Thank you.
two sides, block wall, existing block wall,
Oh.
and there's a proposed vinyl fence to the south, along the south property line. Without maybe having the same type of wall here would be more appropriate. That's why we are recommending a consideration for the board.
Okay.
See it?
Notes. Okay.
It's on page 8-2.0.
Okay.
So we'll go ahead and close it, and we'll start public deliberation. Mr. Walsh, you want to start us off?
Sure. Generally speaking, I approve of the design. I think that its scale and massing is appropriate for the neighborhood. You know, it's very much in alignment with everything else. There seems to be many homes that have put you know, the whole facade closer to the street, so I think it's in keeping that way. I definitely support, in fact, I think it's a requirement to change the gravel because I don't think it meets the landscaping requirements without that. The one thing I would have liked to have seen differently is the stone veneer brought up immediately below the windows. If you look at most of the houses that have that sort of stone veneer on the street, it's really right up to the windows, and so I would have preferred to see it that way as opposed to having that separation there. I'm not sure if there was a particular reason for that, but that would be my opinion on it. And I also don't particularly like the garage location having moved to the side. It creates a lot of more hardscape on the property, so, but it's not something that, again, I would make a change about, but I just, you know, don't like that.
Got it. Anything else?
That's it.
Ms. Arzumanian?
I am in support. It looks really nice, and it's, you know, it's one story, matches the neighborhood, and the material and the colors go well together. Design is well done. I agree with the conditions,
That's
and I
straightforward.
don't. Yeah, it's a straightforward. I didn't even recognize the stones not going up to the windows, so that's just, I wouldn't have an opinion about that. But I'm in support of the project. Well done.
Awesome.
Great.
May I ask what staff stand on the stone veneer coming up to like to the windows? Okay. Okay.
No issue. This one's go. Yeah. It would be fine.
Okay. Ms. Boyajian?
Yeah, regarding the stone veneers, I think only my issue not to come up to the window. I think by dividing that way, I think the door will be delayed, will look a little shorter. Maybe to it in proportionally, it doesn't match. I agree.
I think 18, the height to the top of the roof is 18 feet, so
Yeah.
it might look that way here, but I don't think that's going to be an issue.
Well, I'm fine with either version.
Okay.
So I don't see any issues here. So, and the rest, which are required per code conditions, which the staff mentioned, I of course agree with them, and I support it.
So you're in support of the project with the conditions as
Yes,
stated?
yes.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
So I concur with my colleagues. I think it's well done. I think the applicant did a good job kind of maintaining the existing look of the house. And even like sometimes we get some of those additions and you look at the before and after and it completely changes the character of the house. This wasn't done here. It's modest. The addition is modest. It matches the neighborhood. The mass and scale, I agree with Mr. Walsh, is well done. I had similar question about the garage, but I guess he has some reasoning behind it. I also think if the veneer is pulled up to the windows, I think that's going to also make it more visually appealing. I agree with Sir Walsh. Other than that, I think it's a straightforward deal that we like, and I think staff and Eileen did a good job with the conditions. I agree with all the conditions. Do you guys, I'm going to ask my colleagues and see that consideration, do we want to move it up and make it a condition, or do we want to leave it as a consideration? I know
it's a consideration, frankly.
yeah, it's a cost issue. That's
Yeah.
why I want to leave it and leave it up to the. It's obviously way better to do it, but again, these things aren't cheap.
I would like to suggest in the same vein that we add
Yeah.
bringing up the veneer to the windows as a consideration as well.
Okay, so bringing up the veneer to the window is added as a consideration. So we'll keep the conditions as is. We'll keep the consideration as is. We'll just add another consideration of bringing up the veneer to the windows, and then we can. I don't think we need a rereading of the conditions. They're straightforward. So we can get a motion.
I move to approve.
Jay, you need to say something?
You wanted
I move to approve with the stated conditions and considerations.
Do I have a second?
Yes, second.
We have a motion and a second.
And this is a roll call. Board Member Arzumanian,
Yes.
Board Member Biogen,
Yes.
Board Member Welch,
Yes.
and Mr. Benlian.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion passed.
Congratulations. Luck. We can move to the next case. We can move to the next case, which is PDR number 1920853, and the address is. The address go. 1682 Valley View Road, and we'll kick it off also to Eileen for the staff presentation.
Design Review Board, Design Review Case Number PDR 1920853 is a proposal for property located at 1682 Valley View to demolish an existing one-story, 1,320 square foot single-family residence built in 1941, an existing detached garage in order to construct a new 5,183 square foot two-story single-family residence and a new attached three-car garage on a 32,670 square foot lot in R1R floor area ratio District 2 zone. The existing house is not considered a historic resource under SECO and doesn't appear to be eligible for listing on the Glendale Register of Historic Resources. The project also includes construction of a new pool and deck, and grading of the project will be 693 cubic yards of cut and 92 cubic yards of fill, approximately 600 cubic yards of net export. And also proposal includes removal of an existing oak tree and planting 4 new oak trees. The subject lot is a hillside lot with an approximate average current slope of 65%. It is irregular in shape and slopes up from the street frontage on Valley View Road. The existing house and garage are located on the top of the lot towards the east side and are further from the street front property line. The new two-story house and attached three-car garage will be built almost in the same location of the existing house and garage. The lot is accessible from Valley View Road through an existing shared driveway that provides access to the subject property and 4 other properties. Variance number PVAR 1800911 was approved on November 20, 2018 to allow the new house to use the existing driveway. And the reason, because the driveway was not located on the same lot. There are 4 protected indigenous trees on the lot. 2 of them are mature oak trees located near the existing house, and 2 of them are young trees located on the steep area of the lot away from the house. 1 tree near the construction area and within the footprint of the new house is proposed to be removed, and 4 new oak trees are required by the city's urban forestry to be planted in appropriate areas of the lot, which will be towards the southeast side of the house. In terms of the site planning of the project, the proposed site planning is appropriate to the site and neighboring properties since the project will not alter the existing site planning significantly. The new house and attached 3-car garage will be built on the existing flat portion of the lot and the east portion of the uphill lot in the almost same location as the of the existing house, as I mentioned. There is no change to the existing driveway location. The new house will be set back and approximately 200 feet away from the street front property line and will be appropriately set back from the side and rear property lines. The new retaining walls and deck are appropriate to the site and its surroundings. New drought-tolerant plants are proposed in front of the retaining walls to minimize the visual impact of the retaining walls, which will not be more than 4 feet in height. In terms of the mass and scale of the project, the overall proportions of the proposed 2-story house, including the second floor steps back and articulation at the elevations, are in keeping with the hillside design guidelines appropriate to the site and relate to the surrounding context. The overall height of the house is 35 feet, which is appropriate in the context of the nearby properties. In terms of the design and details, staff believes that the design and detailing of the proposed 2-story house are consistent with the proposed architectural style and the intent of the hillside design guidelines. Some of the architectural features include smooth stucco finish for the walls, clay tile roof, stone veneer, boxed eaves, and a brown color aluminum clad wood windows with combination of casement, sliding, and fixed window with stone seals. Staff believes that the new house will not create privacy issue or visual impact to the neighboring property due to the site topography. Overall, staff is recommending approval of this design review proposal with 3 conditions. I'm going to read the conditions. The project should comply with the conditions of variance number PVAR 1800911. Condition number 2, indigenous tree permit shall be obtained and the project shall comply with all protection measures required by city's urban forestry. And condition number 3, to show location of downspout on the elevation drawings consistent with the overall design. And this concludes my presentation, and we are available for your questions.
Thank you, Eileen. Any questions for staff? No questions. It's good. So we'll go ahead and close or open up the public comment portion. We'll start with the architect, Mr. Edward Hagopian.
Good evening, board members. My name is Edward Hagopian. I am the architect of this project. My address is 220 South Kenwood Street, Suite 201, Glendale, California, 91205. That's my address. So maybe members would wonder why we have to have a variance for a driveway that was recorded more than 50 years ago. That's the code, that's the zoning code. If we add make an addition to one of those houses, we don't need to go for a variance for the driveway. But when we demolish and build a new house, we have to file a variance to reestablish the right to use that driveway. Maybe the city wants to make sure that the driveway that we have matches today's code with regarding to the slopes and width and things like that, which is matching.
So no work, sorry to interrupt, so no work will be done to the driveway itself?
No work will be done. By the way, this is the owner of the 1700 is the same owner of this project, and when he built the 1700 Valley View Road, like about, I would say, 15 years, they started 15 years ago, they finished like 10 years ago. They improved that driveway by paving in the entry from the Valley View, then making a new asphalt. And in the meantime, he did it by himself. I mean, he didn't spend other neighbors' money. There was some unstable slope towards the driveway, and he fixed all these things. Now that driveway is safe, 100% safe.
Okay, thank you.
Besides that, thank you, Eileen, for the presentation. You did a good job. You didn't leave much for me to talk on this.
Mr. Hagobian likes to talk, so you shouldn't tell us everything last time. Next time.
The style of the house is exactly the same as
Next door.
1700 and 1680 Valley View Road, which is under construction. I was wondering that if you went there to see the location, there was a gate there. I hope the gate was not closed for you.
It was closed.
Closed. If you had mentioned to, if they had mentioned to me, we would have leave it open so you could see that. Because even though, I mean, visibility of this house is minimum. On the front, on the side, on the back, there's nothing exposed to the neighbors.
So, Mr. Hagobian, if I understand correctly, the only neighbor that's there now is also the owner of the same property?
The owner owns 1680, 1682, and 1700.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's at least one other property that shares that driveway, though, correct?
Pardon me?
Is there another property that shares the driveway?
There is two other houses that they share the property. If you want, I can approach to the plans and show you where those other two houses are.
Please.
Sure.
You can get the pointer too.
Oh, here we go.
One of the first house is when you drive in here is located here. They have a branch of driveway enters to this house. Then we have 1680, 1682, 1700, and then we have another house here. So 5 houses being served with this. Thank you.
Thank you for the clarification.
As Eileen mentioned, even though that we are removing an oak tree, but we are planting more of the oak trees there. So if necessary, we have the arborist here, so you can ask questions regarding the oak tree if necessary. Other than that, I'm trying to remember what else I need to talk. I don't want to talk too much, but
No, you can. You can. You have your time.
maybe it's better you ask me questions so I can remember issues that needs to be talked.
I'm sure we'll have some questions for you. You guys have any questions for Mr. Hagobian? Any questions?
My question is color combination. The colors I see on the renderings, and because these are prints, so which one is closer to the color? The ones on the renderings? These ones, or the one we see on the print?
There's
I
a
would say
material
it's
board.
between these two.
Yeah.
And also, what the owner wanted to do is to use same color of the La Habra stucco.
You want to mention
Go
the
ahead.
material board? Because
Yeah.
that shows the exact color of the, here.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see.
Okay. Because
Okay, the print is too yellow. That's
Yeah.
the real color. Okay,
Yeah.
that explains it, Mr.
because
Gobi.
it makes total difference.
So it's identical to basically the next door house?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions? And this S-style, the clay roof, is it the two-piece or one-piece?
It is one piece.
One piece?
One piece.
That's all I have. If you guys don't have any questions for Mr. Hagobian, we'll invite the next speaker, Arsen
Thank you.
Margarosian. Thank you, Mr. Hagobian.
Good evening, members. My name is Arsen Margosian. I'm the arborist of record of this project. I prepared the indigenous tree report back in 2018, March, April. And I haven't seen the tree since then. At the time, the tree that is proposed to be removed is a mature tree, almost 3 feet diameter trunk. And apparently it had lost long time ago one of the stems. It divides to 3 at 5 feet. So the 2 are there. The third has been cut or failed, and the tree didn't heal, and there's a cavity. The cavity then was like 2 feet deep. Now I don't know, maybe we need to go back and measure, but that means that the decay will eventually move further down and destabilize the tree. Another thing to consider with this tree is that all the major scaffold branches have been cut, and new, we call them water sprouts, which is like when somebody cuts a stem next spring, or when the bud activates, they come out like 6, 7, 8 stems. So these will be all poorly attached. So the tree basically is not in good condition. I have assessed it as a fair out of like from 0 to 5, it's a 2. It's not poor, but it's a fair condition tree. And as proposed for forestry, 4 new trees will be planted for the removal of that one.
Okay, so my question to you, has this been communicated with the city arborist?
Yes,
Okay, and what was their take on it?
I think they approved, but Eileen should know much better. They approved for removal and planting 4 new trees.
Yes, forestry supported the removal of this tree,
Okay.
provided that 4 replacement oak tree will be planted on the property.
Okay, and what size the replacements are going to be?
I don't know, 36 inch or I don't know,
Um,
24?
I don't
It says
see the
36.
requirement
Huh?
here.
It says 36.
36,
36.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a
I
distance.
remember, I thought that was the case, I just want to make sure. Okay. If anybody else have any questions for the speaker?
No, I'm good.
Thank you so much. Anybody else that would like to speak on this project before we close the public comments section? Thank you. So we'll go ahead and close it, and I'll kick it off, and I'll start with Ms. Arzumanian.
Sure. In general, I am in support of the project. It's a huge project, and the way it's designed, and, you know, the staff work with the applicants, and it's good to see a well-organized project coming to us. I especially liked how the mass is broken up into blocks, and which
It doesn't feel like a 5,000
It does not.
square feet house, and the
Yes.
property is huge.
absolutely, it's a huge property, and it does not look anything close to what the mass is. So I appreciate that, and the color combination, it works. It matches the neighbors. And I appreciate the landscaping. And in general, I'm in support of the project.
Awesome. Thank you. Ms. Boyajian?
I look at this project because it's a big project, and yeah, masses, we have varieties of masses in here, which is nice, but to me, compositionally, it doesn't contain any emphasis that dominates. For example, it's hard to understand which, for instance, if we look at the northwest elevation, I would prefer to emphasize one of the highest mass somehow, or one of the shortest mass, to apply one of, for example, we see this stone finishing, stone replicating finishings. I would prefer, if it's possible, to have it in the middle portion, in the middle mass. I can point it here. So it's up to you, but this is my preference. For example, to somehow to emphasize this portion, maybe the back side of the facade here, with applying material we have on the bottom, so which is the replication of the stone.
I'm not
like
sure if
maybe-
I'm not sure if I'm right on this, but
Or-
I think maybe staff.
Just avoiding this line division again, maybe this part.
Okay.
So, to me, it's nice, very nicely done project on the floor plan and details we have. But I prefer to have varieties of how we apply materials, not to have this monotonic concept. Know what I mean? So just compositionally. And then regarding everything else, I agree with staff's considerations and conditions. So this is it.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Let me just first say that I think I would have a different opinion of the massing and scale of the house if it were located down on the street as opposed to being up on the hill.
Absolutely.
But given that it is there up on the hillside and its location, I think it works reasonably well. Certainly, it's in alignment with the other giant homes that are done up there. I don't know if anybody else went to the property, but I was like, when I first saw that big tennis court up on the hill, I thought it was like a helicopter landing pad or something. So I think that they actually have done a really good job sort of blending it and bringing it down into the hillside with the stone at the foundations, and it's not like there's no super high walls anywhere. I think also the location of the trees, the new oak trees being planted along that property line there will help shield, the impact of it from the neighbors down below on Cumberland. Is that the street down there? So I think that's well done as well. So generally, I'm fine with it. So.
Okay. I'm gonna open up the public comments and have Mr. Hagopian come up here. I have one question for you. If I understand this correctly, you're utilizing the existing pad of where the existing house is to
Yes.
so the amount of cut and fill and grading is minimum in consideration
Yes,
to the
yes,
size.
yes.
Okay.
By the way, regarding the driveway, existing driveway, new driveway is in the same location, but the slopes of the old driveway is exceeding the today's code. So there is a minor adjustment in the slopes of the existing.
That would need to happen. Okay. Okay. Thank you. I'll close it again, and I think I'm left. So again, I also want to agree with Mr. Walsh and my colleagues about the comments they said. Had this been on one of the smaller streets down the hill where it's like visual and it impacts all the houses right next to it, the mass and scale, probably Mr. Hagopian wouldn't bring you this mass and scale. He'll bring you probably a different version if that's the case. Given the location of the property and given that the size of the property is over 30,000 square feet and this is right nestled and kind of like in there, I think the visual impact, it's minimum, especially the next door neighbors are also the owners of this lot, even though I don't consider that too much because what if it's sold at some point? So I'll look at it in the context, even if it was there. So I think Mr. Hagobian did a wonderful job scaling and massing this and making sure that it's kind of nestled into the hill and it's not imposing. So you really need to look hard to like even see it. So I think a job well done. In terms of site planning, I appreciate the fact that a minimum amount of grading is taking place. We're not doing more cut and fill to the hill. We're preserving the hill and we're kind of locating the house where the existing was. I appreciate the fact that you guys have gone through the process and that our city arborist is approving the removal of that not in so good condition tree and replacing it with 4 decent sized trees. I think that's also well done. In terms of site planning, so I think it's there. In terms of mass and scale, I think the mass is broken up, where if you look at this house from that rendering over there on the right-hand side, you can't tell this is like a 5,000 square foot house. Maybe the other rendering show that, but from that aspect, as you're approaching the house, the mass is not that huge. I think proportions are also well done. Again, this is one of Mr. Hagobian's styles, so it fits with his architecture. In terms of design and detail, I think it's well designed and detailed to meet that style of architecture. I know Ms. Biogen was mentioning some
Just the line maybe removed.
just about like some extra details, but
Does that
I can run through the board members and see how they feel about that. I'm okay as is.
I'm okay as is. I don't like it.
You okay as is? Okay, so yeah, so I think most of us are okay as is. So maybe it's consideration if you want to look at that area. In terms of staff conditions, I'm also in agreement with staff conditions, and in terms of the colors picked, I also think that it kind of like blend in with the hill. It's following that those natural colors, and it follows our design guidelines for the hillside design guidelines. Other than that, I think it's a well done project, and I'm in support as well. And I will entertain a motion if we have one.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
I'd be approved with conditions.
Approve with conditions.
Correct. Approved with the stated condition, with staff stated conditions. No additional conditions.
Should I go for the roll call? Board Member Arzumanian
Yes.
and Chairman Balian,
Yes.
Board Member Boyajian,
yes.
and Board Member Bell.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion passed.
Congratulations. And I think, do we have any meetings?
Mr. Chairman, we have one set of minutes to approve from the January 23rd meeting.
Okay.
If I can get a motion and a second on that.
I move to approve the minutes from January 23rd.
Second.
Minutes approved. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Adjourned. Thank you, guys.
Yes.